Angus Crookshank of the Belleville Senators in the studio. How are you?
I'm great, Paul. How are you?
I'm all right. First time for you in a radio studio.
Yeah. No, I don't know why. I just never came in one. It's pretty extravagant operation you guys got here.
Well, it's pretty extravagant for a group of people who barely know how to use this stuff. You know, we really got to simplify this for guys like me. Man, Belleville Senators must be feeling pretty good about things over the last week or so.
Yeah, you know what? It's been a good little stretch for us. We had a little bit of a stumble against Grand Rapids on Saturday, but that's bound to happen. We've been playing a lot of hockey, but it's the beauty of pro hockey. You have a tough one. 3 days later, you got another one.
Got to have the memory of a goldfish.
Ted Lasso said it best.
Don't you think Ted Lasso, with all due respect to Bellsy, Ted Lasso might be the greatest coach on the planet?
He'd be up there. He'd be up there with Scotty Bowman.
Yeah.
I'd put him up there.
Well said. Hey, by the way, speaking of Bellsy, I'm seeing on social media and around the arena these Christmas shirts.
Yeah, no, it was a whole thing. It was pretty fun. We all went into our video meeting that day, all wearing the shirts, and Bill's just like, "Oh, what the heck are you guys doing?" and all that sort of stuff. But no, it's for a good cause. It's for the, if I'm not mistaken, the food drive here in Belleville.
Good.
Which is, especially around the holidays here, it's a pretty important cause, making sure everybody enjoys their holidays.
Yeah, for sure. You know, need really knows no season. People are hungry all 365 days of the year, so it's something that doesn't go away. So thank you guys for doing that. And really, if this interview ended right now, I feel like we've done some good. We got the word out there on that.
Working towards the nice list.
To the best here. Oh, it's far too late for me.
No, it's too late for me as well.
I gave up on that a long time ago. People can, I guess, if I were to direct people to BellevilleSens.com, they can find information on how to buy those shirts?
I would assume so, yeah.
Good.
They're in the team shop as well, if you want to head down to CAA Arena as well.
Good stuff. Well, let's find out a little bit more about you. I was reading a bit earlier. You're a BC guy. And did I see where you played some junior hockey in Langley?
I did, Langley, BC.
Yeah. I got friends out there. I've actually been to Langley.
No way.
Yeah.
No, it's awesome town. I really enjoyed my time there. It's kind of a cool little cross section between, you get a little bit of city, but also you get the country side of things as well. It's where I kind of fell in love with country music. Well,
Dallas Smith is a Langley, BC guy.
Sure is. And
I spent a bit of time with him out there. And there's there was a place we went. It was a restaurant, a brew pub kind of place.
Oh man, there's a million of them.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think the initials were like TPS or something they had on the wall outside. But
I wasn't drinking age, so I wasn't going.
No, I'm going to say you'd better not know what I'm talking about.
I have no idea. I have no information.
Well said. But I played a golf course out there too while I was there, and you know, being an Ontario guy, flew out to BC. It was the first time I'd ever been there. If I could do it again, I would have booked a flight to Abbotsford knowing that I was going to Langley.
Yeah, that trek out, especially depending on the time of day, it might be a couple hours for you. It's ridiculous.
And it was, because I got off the plane at 9 a.m. local time, and, you know, it took forever.
Yeah, it's not an easy ride.
But that's okay, because the scenery was beautiful, and we got to the Redwoods. Does that make it?
Yep, Redwoods is a great course out there.
Okay, that's where we were. And as an Ontario guy who had gotten off the airplane like an hour earlier, I'm standing on the first tee looking down the fairway with a mountain in the background, so I can see why you enjoyed your time out there.
Yeah, you know what? It was, so where Langley is, that's out towards the valley. I was lucky enough, I grew up in North Vancouver, so if you're looking towards the mountains, I lived at pretty much the base of one of those mountains in North Van, and growing up in really Vancouver in general it's so stunning, but I didn't realize how incredible it is until I moved away.
I'll bet.
Well, obviously not to Langley, because obviously I still have everything nearby, but once I went to school, coming back, it was like, whoa, I've completely taken this for granted for 20 years.
You've answered something I've always wondered about, whether it's the West Coast or the East Coast, and I've asked others, and you know, does the novelty of seeing scenery like that ever wear off?
If you stay there, yes. If you have to go other places. So I went to school in New Hampshire, and don't get me wrong, I completely love the East Coast. I think it's incredibly charming, but there's still nothing better than going back that flight in from Vancouver. You see the mountains, you see the water, you see everything, and it's like, man, like this is this is a pretty special place.
You know, it's nice to have you here to talk hockey, but it's also kind of nice to get a peek inside what makes you tick, you know, and I was able to do this with Mando the other day, and it's so much fun. You mentioned that it was in Langley that you fell in love with country music. How did that happen, and why Langley? What was it about Langley?
I think just it's kind of junior hockey, and in junior hockey, you're either listening to one rap music, or if you were listening to country music, there wasn't really an in-between. And I mean, I like some rap. I wouldn't say it's my go-to, but I think I just kind of resonated with the message that country music has, and just kind of put me at ease. Especially, like, I don't know, I could be wound pretty tight at times, and it allows me to just kind of chill.
Yeah, well, you're preaching to the choir. I've been like both feet into the country music world for a long time, and I'm with you on that. You know, I consider myself lucky. I work in this business in this format in a very deep way, but I can still put the radio station on at home, and it doesn't feel like work. I can still enjoy it for what it is.
Oh, for sure. If you have that moment of time where, like, I need to hear some song, and that song comes on, or whatever it is, it's a pretty good feeling. And I mean, for you, it's got to be a pretty rewarding job as well.
Oh, changed my life.
Yeah, no,
frankly,
it's a great feeling.
Probably in the same way hockey's changed yours. It kind of becomes life, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you like to. It's not everything, but I mean, I'd be lying if I said it's not the biggest part of me. I think it's just, I don't know, it's just that thing that makes me tick.
Was hockey always a passion for you?
Yeah, so my dad played college hockey as well, so he, as most Canadian dads do, put some skates on your kid and go see what he can do. But yeah, I don't know. I played a bunch of sports growing up, and hockey was the one that I always loved the most. And I played baseball, soccer, football, rugby, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, just hockey was the one for me. There's just no better feeling than flying up and down the ice.
How was the experience of playing in New Hampshire?
It was incredible. It was incredible. It was definitely some getting used to with the winters. It's a little different than Vancouver. We get our pretty rainy, mild winters that we have in Vancouver. But I mean, I completely loved it. It was the right decision for me because major junior just wasn't really on the horizon. I was for the WHL. It's a bantam draft, so you're drafted at 14 years old instead of the OHL and the Q where it's at 15. 14 years old, I was 5'2", maybe 130 pounds soaking wet. So okay, that's completely out the window. I didn't really start growing until probably 16, and everything kind of just started taking off then, and it just felt right for me to go the college route.
Sometimes that's why I think scouts have one of the toughest jobs, because what you can't predict, a child 14, 15, 16, is what does the next 3 years hold in terms of that person's growth physically.
Oh, especially at that age. You're right at the start of puberty.
Exactly.
You got 3-4 more years. Like, I mean, obviously there's man children at that age as
my son was one.
Yeah, everybody knows 1, 2, or 3 man children. At 14, they're just that much bigger than everybody else. And at that age, it's great. So I have a good friend who now plays for the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. His name's Jordy Beller. Exactly that. He was a man child, and he went the route that was best suited for him, which was the WHL, and he had a lot of success there. Whereas, I don't know, you just need to find the right route for yourself, and you need the right guidance. And I think that's sometimes what gets lost in, especially youth hockey now.
Let's fast forward to where you get drafted by the Ottawa Senators, and whether you're pick number 1 or wherever you are, I just can't imagine that feeling of having your name called, finding out that you're drafted into the National Hockey League.
Yeah, it was pretty surreal. So it was weird going into it. I was talking to my agent, and he was saying, like, yeah, you could go. You're on some lists. You're not on other lists. So you just stay around your friend. I'm not really sure. Which I'm like, okay, great. That's not a big deal. I've been going against the odds my entire life so far. So let's just add another thing to the list. Add it to my chip on my shoulder. So I wasn't really watching the draft, and that morning, obviously the second day, I was making breakfast for myself around the corner in our house, and the living room was on the other side of the wall. My brother was watching the draft, just monitoring it, making my eggs, my toast, all that stuff. My phone buzzes, and my agent just texts me, Ottawa. I'm like, I send him back a question mark, like, what? Then as soon as I send that, my brother screams, my name pops up on the screen. Ottawa Senators drafted Angus Crookshank.
And you're flipping eggs.
And I didn't even see it live. I didn't even see it live. My brother saw it for me. But you know what? It was pretty darn cool to share that moment with my brother. He's been such a huge fan and supporter of mine for so long. So being able to share that initial moment with him is definitely something that's really special to the both of us.
Is he older or younger?
He's 2 years younger.
Okay.
Plays rugby at the University of Calgary.
Ah, right on.
Yeah.
Family of high achievers.
Some would say, maybe.
I can say. So Angus Crookshank, Ottawa Senators, gets called, and again, you're making breakfast around the corner. Your brother freaks out. How does the rest of that day go?
It was a blur. I had to pack stuff to go to development camp because development camp's a couple days after the draft.
Wow.
I was on the phone with management, obviously, just like giving me all the information, congratulations, all that stuff. And just everything, it kind of flipped everything upside down. I wasn't expecting to be picked. And I mean, having that, my name kind of pop up gave me, in a way, it kind of gave me a certain level of confidence within myself. Like, okay, I'm a pretty darn good hockey player. It's time to believe it without being full of myself, because there's a fine line between the two, in my opinion.
Funny, I had this conversation, whatever day it was, Kevin was in Mando, and about that point in time in a hockey player's career where you've got to accept, you got to, like, yeah, I might have a future here.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard for me to kind of wrap my head around that, because I mean, like we were talking before we were on air, just how that level of humbleness of being, I mean, my parents raised me incredibly well, and every achievement, there's someone else that helped, or someone else that's kind of helping you achieve your goals, which obviously there is. But to your point, yeah, there is a moment in time where you do need to kind of get over that humbleness and that kind of awkward shyness of yourself and be like, okay, yeah, I'm pretty darn good at this. Let's keep working, because there's something here. And yeah, and I think that moment, for any walk of life, in business or sports or whatever it is, it's kind of game changing, like getting that certain level of confidence, I guess.
Nice. Well, I think if you feel good, you play well, when you've got that belief. Angus Crookshank's here, Belleville Senators, 36?
Number 9 this year, 36 last year.
Okay. That, I don't know, I got this analytical numbers brain, and once I tie a name to a number, it is. So, I'm talking Toronto Blue Jay jersey numbers into the mid-'80s that I still got at the top of my mind.
That's impressive.
Well, I don't remember to bring milk home from work, but I know Rance Mullenix wore number 5 in 1986.
You'd be good at trivia at the bar.
Yeah, razzle-dazzle, my friends. Now, your growth in hockey, running alongside that is your time as a student, and you've graduated out of political science.
Yeah, it was.
That just sounds impressive.
Yeah, you know what? It took me a while to find what I really wanted to do at school. I didn't want to go to school, and I know there's guys that kind of go to school for the hockey side of things and don't really take that education side as serious as, I don't know, they kind of should. I was raised in an education household. My mom and dad were on me from a young age. I wouldn't say I'm exactly the sharpest tool in the shed, but I like to think I'm one of the hardest working.
You're convincing me so far.
So yeah, no, it was.
You got me fooled.
That's half the job. But yeah, no, getting my degree was something that was important to me, but also my family, because at the end of the day, hockey is done at some point. And I don't know what I want to do after hockey right now. My focus is in the present, in the moment, all that sort of stuff. But I wanted to prepare myself the best I can for whatever that life throws at me post-hockey.
Well, and good on you, because if you have a terrific long hockey career and I'm pulling for you to do it, by about 38, 39, you got a lot of green grass beyond hockey.
Yeah, hopefully we talk about hockey being such a small world, and you kind of hope some of those connections do their thing post-hockey, but hopefully, but also at the same time, maybe I do my own thing and kind of go off on my own venture. To that point, anytime I'm at a Belleville Senators game, one of the things I like to do is take a look at the coaching staff, for the other team to see who those folks are, maybe who, beyond their playing years, stuck with the game and go on to just another chapter of being awesome at the game. Yeah, no, it's I mean, we were looking at we have a stat pack before the games. We were reading that Sean Horkoff was the GM for the Grand Rapids Griffins this weekend. Like, I didn't
somehow I missed that.
I didn't know that. And they were like, I didn't know Sean Horkoff was the GM for the Griffins. But yeah, no, it is pretty cool, especially hockey. Like, no matter what you kind of do, there's always doors you can go down. Whether it's skill development, whether it's management, coaching, even some guys go down the trainer's route and become athletic therapists.
You know, another good example of that, Cody Hodgson, you may, because you're a Canucks.
Yep, Canuck guy.
Well, and I got to know Cody because his cousin works for Warner Music and is a
very cool
good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And so I got to know Cody, who in his post-playing years stuck on with the Nashville Predators, and his primary job was to help develop hockey amongst youth in that portion of the United States, because it's just good for everybody's business, right? So
absolutely,
yeah,
that's a pretty sweet gig.
Yeah, well, there's lots of things you can do in that sense, and Cody loved that.
Well, especially when you're working with kids too, it's so rewarding introducing them to a game in some shape or fashion, like being able to bring a smile to their face. It's pretty. I find it incredibly rewarding whenever we do some stuff with whether it's school visits or practices or whatever.
Well, you mentioned the Grand Rapids Griffins who were here over the weekend. I was at the game on Friday night, and I had such a great view of most of the goals you guys scored, which was awesome, including the one we were talking about. You said Roby scored. I'd forgot who had scored the goal, and you know that hockey IQ. He's behind the net and pops it off the goaltender's back and in.
Yeah. We were talking on air about kind of the whole thinking side of the game, and I just don't think that there really is much thinking to hockey. It's very instinctual. You trust your gut, because more often than not, if you do think and you do try to process what's in front of you, you're normally a half step behind, or you're a second late on making the play, and that sort of stuff. So that's I think kind of what separates the good players from the great players is who has the best instincts and who can react the quickest on those instincts.
You know, it's amazing the ebbs and flows of a hockey season, right? Because you guys have enjoyed a great few days. You know, you'd mentioned maybe a trip up Saturday against Grand Rapids. That's going to happen in any hockey season, in any stretch. Mm-hmm. But, you know, with the ebbs and flows, what changes, or can you put your finger on it, where you go from maybe being a little cold to all of a sudden make the game look easy?
You know what? Sometimes it just comes down to just bounces sometimes. Like, as cliche as it sounds, and you hear it all the time on hockey, we didn't get the bounces tonight and all that sort of stuff. But there is a certain truth to it. We had games when, before this nice little stretch that we were on a not so great stretch where we were getting points in some games, but they were like overtime losses, that sort of stuff, which isn't great. But some of those games we were playing great hockey games, and it just, for whatever reason, one thing goes wrong or whatever it is, we hit a post or whatever, and doesn't go our way. And then somehow a switch flips, and now the bounces do go our way. And maybe we had a better game when we lost, and we played worse when we won. But that's just sometimes how the game is, and that's kind of the beauty of it sometimes. Yeah,
the margins are so razor thin, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So if you and I were to get together, and I suppose I know the answer, if we were to get together maybe 2 months from now, what would you like to be able to tell me about the Belleville season in between now and then?
That we've won every game since.
Every game since. See, that's the answer I would have figured I'd get.
But you know what? If I was to give you guys an update 2 months from now, I'd hope to be saying that, one, we're in a playoff spot. We're competing in every game. It's not realistic to expect to win every game. You go in wanting to win every game, but it's unrealistic. But I think just the fact that we have a collective buy-in as a squad off the ice, because we have such a great team away from the rink, but also on the ice, everyone's buying into the systems, trusting Bellsy and the coaching staff, and really just putting our best product forward, not only for the fans' sake, but also for ourselves and our pride, and want to be the best version of ourselves.
Nice. Well said. Now, you know, for a guy, I've been in this town a long time, 30 years. So it's always interesting for me to get the perspective of Belleville and the Quinte area from folks who've maybe, you know, popped in over the last couple of years or so. How do you and the gang spend your time when you're away from the rink? You know, it's a beautiful area. I love being on the water, being a BC boy. I grew up on the water, so having that, there's a certain amount of peace there. But when we
it's funny when we come in for camp and all that stuff. The team luckily has a deal with the Black Bear Ridge Golf Course.
Oh,
so we normally after practice we'll get a couple tee times and we'll go out there and enjoy ourselves out there. But also just going over to the county, walking around the trails down by the water. It's just so peaceful around here, and we got some guys that are hunters as well. So they'll kind of look into that side of things. That personally, to be honest, I've never been hunting.
No, me neither.
It's pretty closed off in BC unless you go up north. But some guys are into it pretty good. But and then obviously when it snows here and it gets cold, which it obviously hasn't this year, which is too bad, we'll go ice fishing out on the lake and all that stuff, which is good.
Well, the Bay of Quinte, boasts some of the best walleye fishing on the planet. Like, people come from far and wide.
Yeah, we went on a charter last year that was incredible. And we caught some fish that were like, oh my gosh, they were big.
Too big to fit in there.
Yeah,
I
by the end there was no room for the fish. It was actually kind of cool. The guy that I wish I could remember the guy's name in the company because I'd love to give him a plug. But they were based out of Picton. But the guy was cooked up, like barbecued everything, like
right on the spot.
Right on the spot. He had a barbecue on the side of his boat.
Oh yeah,
it was delicious. It was a pretty awesome experience. It was an awesome day.
I remember it's been a long time since I've been out ice fishing on the bay, and myself and a couple of buddies were out there one time. We had the worst of luck. We had a great time above the ice. Below the ice, couldn't have gone worse. I remember looking down the hole, and I've got the bait, and I can see we're only in about 8 feet of water, so I can see all the way down. And I'm watching fish swim by my bait.
Just completely disinterested.
Yeah, like dunking over me. It's like, no. Not today, dummy.
That's awesome.
But we had a great time, but man, that fish. I do my hunting in the meat department of the grocery store. That's, a real outdoorsman. But I love... I think, and I'm glad you touched on Black Bear, which is just one example of the golf courses we have around here. I think we're spoiled around here for the caliber of golf we have right under our nose.
There's some fantastic golf courses around here. I mean, Bay of Quinte just opened up a whole other 9 where one of our equipment managers is a member there, and he can't speak highly enough of the course. And I've been lucky to play it a couple times, and it's beautiful.
So, do you carry a handicap, or do you just play for fun?
I do carry a handicap. I believe at the end of the year I was a 2.5.
Oh, get out of here. Holy, I shouldn't have asked. 2.5?
We have some really good golfers on our team.
Yeah, and you're one of them. 2.5?
Yeah, it was, I'm pretty lucky. So back home, I currently live in Vancouver. My parents, who are both retired, they decided to move up to the Okanagan and kind of Kelowna and Vernon area. And they live on
I've been there.
It's amazing country.
Predator Ridge?
That's the course that they live on.
No.
Yep, they live on Predator Ridge.
I stayed there.
It's stunning. It's awesome.
Oh yeah.
So they bought up there. They have a house up there, and they with the house you get a membership. So I'll go up there on the weekends and I'll play with my dad and my brother, all that sort of stuff. And it just kind of started to click the past couple of years. I mean, not to brag, but I did shoot for the first ever time in the 60s this past summer.
Wow.
Which
out there?
Out there, yeah. It's one of those days you just black out. You have no idea what happened. You don't know. You don't realize it until you're on 18, and then you're standing over the putt to break 70, and you're like, oh boy, this now looks like a 30-foot putt, not a 3-foot putt. That's
the fact that you were able to ward off that until the 18th green. It's probably you're a professional athlete, so
I had a match going on the side, so I was more focused focused on the match than what I was shooting. But I knew it was like a decent score. I didn't realize it was like that. Like that.
See, when I asked you the question about the handicap, I thought, okay, I'm trying to size you up and all the factors, and I'm thinking, all right, he's a hockey player. They're all pretty good golfers, or a lot of them are anyway. I'm thinking, okay, this guy's 6, 7, 2.5. Gee, we were doing so well together. We're never going to play golf together. My son and you guys can play. He's about I think he knocked his handicap down to 4.9. He's 16.
Oh, yeah, he can play.
Yeah, he's 16.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
really
he's
good.
a big boy in the whole thing anyway.
So he can pound it a long ways then.
He can hit it a long way, but he's got the other elements of the game too, right?
That's
a lot of guys can bomb it, and then you put a 7-iron in their hand and they don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's like a shovel.
Pool cue.
It's a shovel.
But and he's happy to remind me that he has a skill set I don't.
It's okay. I love to do that to my dad too.
Good. All right. Okay. So him and I can commiserate together.
Perfect.
All right. Angus Crookshank of the B Sens and BellevilleSens.com ticket information. And I'll tell you, and I said this to Mando, I'm going to say it to you, and the fact that we have professional hockey in this town is still a bit of a pinch me thing. And man, I love the fact that you guys are climbing up the standings, and I think the best is yet to come, because like I said to Mando, the team as it is at the beginning of the season, you grow together, right? And so the version of the team that gets spit out the other end can be two very different things, and that's what I feel is coming.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to your point, I mean, it's easier for teams that are bringing back most returning players, but we have a decent amount of new guys, so kind of bringing that cohesion together, chemistry for lines, defense pairs, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, no, we're starting to kind of feel it a little bit here. So yeah, hopefully we can kind of ride this wave and ride as long as we can.
Okay, so who on this team, and if you want to plead the 7th, which I guess we plead the 7th in Canada, not the 5th, and that's okay. Who, if I were to play with one of your teammates as a 17.5 handicap, who should I text?
You and Cole Reinhardt would be a pretty good match.
Cole Reinhardt and I are playing golf. All right. We're going to be in the group behind you. I'm not holding you up.
With like an air horn behind us, too, in the middle of our backswing.
Well, listen, like I said, I think the best is yet to come for this season for the Belleville Senators, and I can't wait from row 7 in section 109 to watch it all go down. I had a great view of that goal that Roby put in off that goaltender's back, and I loved every moment of it.
Perfect.
Where do people find you on socials?
I'm on Twitter. Well, I guess not Twitter. It's X now. X. Thanks, Elon.
I'll edit that out.
Thanks, Elon. And Instagram at Angus Crookshank. Yeah, give me a follow. I'd try to post when I can.
Good.
Maybe toss a couple things on there.
Now, as a first-time visitor to a radio station, do you have any questions of me?
Who is the worst guest you've ever had?
Ooh, the worst guest.
Or like the least interesting.
Least interesting. Boy.
You just felt like you were kind of talking like a piece of wood back there.
Oh, boy. I'll tell you what, I'm going to flip this another way.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you about the interview that I felt I did the worst job on. There's a guy named Craig Morgan. It was a bunch of years. Actually, I got many stories of me doing a terrible job, but I'll just give you a couple. Craig Morgan, and this was going back like 2009 maybe, and I think he was playing the Havelock Jamboree, which was a country music festival used to happen not far away, and it was one of those things. I had a million things going on that day,
Yep.
and didn't really have the time to sit and get myself ready for that. Mm-hmm. And so asked a question about some new song, which was 2 songs ago, like, and it was like in that moment, the emperor had no clothes. It was clear that and you feel just about as tall as that mic is long, and the whole thing. And so when that happens, it's hard to blame a guest for kind of shutting down in that moment.
I don't know. I disagree. I mean, if you're a singer and you're promoting yourself, you should be going along with it. You should still be engaging, and you should be trying to promote yourself as best you can. At the end of the day, you're a business.
Huh.
You should be, okay, say the interviewer didn't do his job. I still got to do a job for my sake, my band's sake, my agent's sake.
Take that, Craig Morgan.
Yeah. Come on, Craig. Don't shut down.
Yeah. Give me another shot 15 years later. It's... There's that, and like I say, I got many others, but really this is the part of the job I enjoy the most, in terms of connecting with folks and humanizing you folks, so that when people show up at the arena and they see number 9, 36 last year, Angus Crookshank, they got a bit of an idea what makes you tick. Yeah, I'm not. There's a person behind the visor, so to speak. There's going to be some people sitting there going, "Okay, guy's 2.5 handicap." This guy, that guy again. He was my favorite player. Not anymore. Yeah, that Reinhardt guy. He's my type of guy. He's my type of guy. I want to play golf with him. Where's 23? That's Reinhardt. There he goes. Hey. give me your best restaurant around here. Where would you send someone if you had to right now?
Oh, man. You know what? I love Flame and Smith. I know it's maybe that's cliche, but I went there with my parents when they came out last year, and it was a great dinner, but also it's such a cool vibe in there with having, you look back in the kitchen, they got the wood fires going on and everything, and we did I forget what, like we shared like whatever the big like dry aged steak was, and it was one of the best steaks I've ever had.
Nice.
So yeah, I'd probably recommend there.
You know, again, I've been around here for a long time, and there's nothing quite like an excursion to the county. You get down there, whether you're walking trails, like you said, some of the other guys do, and it just feels like you're 100 miles from home. Yeah,
it's obviously very similar to Belleville and all that stuff, but at the same time, to your point, you're like, okay, like I feel like I'm also just like wandering in the woods somewhere.
Yeah.
Which I think is incredibly peaceful. And like I said earlier, being on the water, I absolutely love, especially going down to whether it's Picton or Wellington and just chilling on the beach there and just taking it all in. Maybe not so much now when the water is
a little nippy,
ungodly cold.
Yeah, just a little, just a little.
But I think it's absolutely stunning out there.
Well, it's great to have the Belleville Senators, not just as a hockey team here for us, for whatever it is, 36, 32 home dates a year? No. 36. I was right the first time. But to have you guys integrated in the community is just as important. And thank you for giving your time. And I know you guys are out in schools and you're, charity, and you're on a pro hockey schedule. So your time's limited, but you're still out there doing that stuff and stuff like this. So really appreciate that. No need to be a stranger. And hit me with those social handles one more time.
Just at Angus Crookshank.
At Angus Crookshank. And that's Crook.
Yep, Crook, not the other spelling, which is Cruick.
It's amazing what can happen when you spell one word wrong on the internet.
Yeah, I haven't even looked up Cruick.
Yeah, all of a sudden the IT guy's knocking on the door saying, listen, we need to have a little chat about your browsing history.
You're a 40-year-old felon?
Hey, Angus, thanks for this. I can't wait to see you now on home ice.
Perfect. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.